Goddamn bot farmer! Are MMOs dead? It's not a huge question that a lot of people seem to want to ask, but I'm the one that's going to ask it because by the looks of things, it's going about that way. As everyone has seen before, World of Warcraft has hit rock bottom when it comes to subscriber count. It has just been one huge bitch fest. It has gone from 12 million down to, what, 6, 5 million? I can't remember the exact total. And I'm using this basis looking off of games like Star Wars Tour. And I got back into this game because I have a coworker that just would not shut up. He loves the hell out of this game and got me back into it as well. And I'm so thankful I got back into it. But at the same time, I'm a little displeased. The reason why I'm displeased is because at launch the game was extremely hard even though people say that it was not. You try to queue up for a Flashpoint instance and you're going to be waiting a long time. Of course, back in the day, if you were able to do it solo, it meant that you are a badass. Nowadays, it doesn't even matter because you queue up for a solo queue Flashpoint, you go in there, you're going to have a little android buddy that follows you around that pretty much just whoops ass. It'll heal, it'll tank, it'll do damage, it does everything. It has pretty much dumbed down the game to a point where it's almost unrecognizable. Then again, when you think about it, since MMOs are possibly dead, the way Star Wars Tour has taken a turn has been probably for the better. It has gone away from its roots of being an MMO towards being single player with MMO aspects. Now what I mean by that is that a lot of the stuff that you do inside the game, you don't really need to have a buddy with you. You can do the Flashpoint solo, you can do the quests. You no longer have to have companions that have loot. They pretty much go off of what is called your presence. The higher that you have influence on with a follower, the better they're going to be at combat. You don't have to put gear on them or nothing, not like it used to be back in the day. So you go about doing your business, you do your class quest, you can pretty much skip all the planetary details. That's another thing as well. Back at launch, when you completed everything there was to do on a planet, you went to your next one, you were usually about 3 or 4 levels lower than the mobs that you're about to start fighting. However, in this day and age, you go to a new planet, and you're usually like 15 levels higher than the mobs, and you have to take a little level cap hit. Your stats are a little bit lower, but it doesn't matter. You go in there and just pretty much spank everything. Spankage. On my bounty hunter healer as an example, I didn't even finish up the class quest, if I could even talk correctly. The class quest to get my ship. I pretty much just did nothing but heroics and PvP. That way, by the time I hit level 65, I was completely decked out in the top tier PvP gear. Besides the game going into a candy cutter, copy and paste, Call of Duty variants kind of game, do have little aspects that have pretty much been the depth of all MMOs, and what that means is the gold bot farmers. They're prevalent all over everywhere. They're called gold farmers or Chinese bot farmers because of where they started. Of course, they started in China, but they also started in World of Warcraft. The annoying thing about these devices is that you can't compete against them at all when it comes to the auction house, GTN, whatever you want to call it in your game. It's an auction house. You just can't compete. They spend hours, like every second the server is open, the bots are out there farming somehow, getting all the gold, credits, what have you, and leaving you with nothing but your own self-pity. If you have an influx of gold in the marketplace, what's that going to mean for you? It means that that sweet item that you used to have, that used to be like just a few hundred credits, is now going to be worth a few thousand because all of a sudden everyone's got more money than they actually should be having. And this is prevalent if you look at the GTN and you look at the price of items. They're in the millions for certain things, and it's because the money is out there and people try to grab them. Another horrendous aspect of these bot farmers is that the BioWare and any gaming company just does not go after the farmers at all. No matter how many times that you try to report one, they will still be there. I've followed this one bot around. It has been there for a month. No matter how many times I try to protest and send in tickets, it is still there farming. However, true to the cause of BioWare and pretty much any game company out there, they're not going to take your actions of going out there and actually purchasing from this company. No, they're going to put you with the ban hammer. Doesn't seem fair? Of course it's not fair. You can't compete against these kind of bots. They got all the gold in the game. And somehow certain players are able to get away with it. Whether through transfers or whatnot, they're still able to purchase from these companies and get gold that way. But if you try to do it and you're not smart enough, ban hammer. So these things create a humongous disadvantage to normal folk who want to have integrity and honor. With so many problems I'm already listing right now, why don't I just take a look at my Steam account? I mean, I've got so many different games on here, I could just be spending my time with this instead, enjoying myself. Got all these games installed and I'm not even playing them because I'm too busy with this MMO crap. That's not to say that the game isn't fun as hell. You got the cutscenes from the Fallen Empire, the new game that just came out. I mean, let's be honest here. It's pretty much Knights of the Old Republic 3. The game company said that this was pretty much going to be it. They were going to come out with another game. They were going to make Knights of the Old Republic 3 inside of their glorious MMO. That's basically a single player, and I couldn't disagree more. It is fresh, fun as hell. The cutscenes draw you in. It makes you feel personal, no matter how you deck your character out and what kind of customization. It is going to be there and it's going to look like you. It makes you feel like you are the boss. Just like in every other MMO, however, you need to take a little bit of caution. You want to immerse yourself. You want to feel your characters. You have to. They draw you in. Otherwise, it's just going to be one boring grind fest after another. Oh my god, I'm going to click this quest again. God damn it. So just like in every other MMO, you need to take it with a grain of salt, if that's the right symbolicness I want to say. I don't even know anymore. It's late at night. Basically, where I'm going with this is that you need to immerse yourself that you are the badass, that everyone else is just schmucks for the grind wheel. It doesn't matter that they have the same characters as you, or perhaps they're on the same quest. They're just there to help you. You're the actual head honcho. You're the badass. You can't be taking this shit. Screw all those other players. They're just there to take your money. But I feel like I kind of got a little bit sidetracked here. Why would MMOs be dead? Besides the bot farmers, the humongous price gouging that's going on in the auction house, the fact that you don't need people in the majority of the game, that you can pretty much solo it by yourself. It all comes down towards the end game. The operations, the raids. You need people for this operation. And it's one huge, glorious fuckfest. I am not even going to get into it. I have not even touched Star Wars Tours rating schematics. I've done that before in other MMOs. I don't want to do it here, especially when they sit there and say that it takes 4+ hours. Fuck that shit. Ain't nobody got time for that crap. So besides that, why would MMOs be dead? A lot of it has to do with the fact that you have to just constantly grind the end game. They have to have something in there to keep it interesting, fresh, engaging. However, with the aspect of certain games, like let's take World of Warcraft for instance. Everybody loves comparing MMOs to World of Warcraft, so why not fucking me? You get to a certain point of the game, in the end game, you go in the dungeons and you're whooping ass, you're like, oh man, this is so great. And then you find yourself at a impasse. What am I supposed to do? Where do I go from here? I got all this gear. What do I do now? I don't have anything to do with myself. Let me stick my thumb up my butthole. So what they do is they introduce new content, new patches, oh, here's a new moss that comes out of nowhere. Go fight it. However, we're going to make things interesting. We're going to make it last a lot longer. Because if you just blow right through it, what's the fun in that? But it all comes down to the money scheme. Of course, you have to have a subscription in order to enjoy certain aspects like this, and it's going to take you a long time. I remember playing World of Warcraft. I think it was Ragnaros. Probably butchered that one. I'll probably have the wowers all up in my ass for just insulting their game of choice. But Ragnaros, you had to constantly do the dailies, and you get so many tokens, and then when those tokens are done, you can upgrade this like tree that's in this Fireland bullshit, whatever. I mean, that was pretty cool, but the fact that I had to do it daily in order to get these tokens, and then one aspect opens up, and so now I can do a little bit more. So I get a little bit more tokens. And then those tokens are used to open up another patch. And I use it a little bit more. And then I just fucking keep going. And then it just won't stop. And then finally, I get to the in-game dungeon with this. And now I can go in there and whoop some ass. And get the gear that's needed from this dungeon. Well, nope. Turns out that you now have, let's say, the tier 2. And there's going to be tier 10. And in order to get to your next tier, you have to complete all of this daily bullshit and get the tier 2 armor. And then once you finally get that, and it's kind of like a hit or miss. It's like, is it going to drop? Or is this other person going to get it with the roll? You know, what the fuck ever. It happens. But you get it. You're there. Now you're going to the tier 3 area. And now you're doing all these other dungeons. Like, okay, cool, I'm able to roll through it. If you try to go from the tier 1 gear to the tier 3 dungeon, you're going to get raffle stomped. You're going to get kicked. If you're the tank, everyone's going to kick you. If you're the healer, you're not going to be able to heal the tank, and they're going to kick you. It's a never-ending kick fest. Like, oh, look at you. You're not geared for this. Why are you even in this group with us? Get the fuck out of here! So now you're in the tier 3 dungeon. And then you do all this shit. And then you go to tier 4. And then you do all that shit. And you get to the tier 5. It's like, oh, nope, hold on. Hold your ass. Back that ass back up. You can't just jump in there right now, Billy. You need to be doing this. You need to be doing that. You need to do this quest right here. And this quest is going to take you over here to this location. And then you're going to have to do a couple of days there before you can go over here back to this location and report your success. And then it's just, who has time for that shit? I mean, granted, there's a lot of players that still play World of Warcraft and MMOs of that caliber. But really, who has time for that? Oh my god, maybe it's just that I'm a little bit older now. Like back in my youth, I would have just been like, oh hell yeah. I mean, I still got a childhood friend from freaking high school. I mean, showing my age, back in the early or late 90s, they're still playing World of Warcraft. And the idea is like, well, I've already put in this much time into it, I might as well keep going. I mean, that's understandable. You put that much effort into it, why not keep going and enjoying it? However, with new MMOs that pop up, everyone joins and want to, of course, compare it to WoW because that's the hit or miss. That's the thing to do. That's what people do. It's going to be an unacceptable reality. Well, in this case, it's going to be acceptable reality. We're just going to have to bite the bullet. People are going to come into new MMOs. They're immediately going to put it off and just compare it to World of Warcraft. Same thing happened in this game during launch. Just berated by wowers left and right. Aeon Online. It doesn't matter what MMO you want. It's going to happen. Just suck it up. Deal with it. We all have to deal with it. Goddamn wowers. Anyway, any new MMO that comes out, it's just, you don't have the time. And then when you have to do certain things, but you have to do it with a group, and there's not enough players online because they just don't have the time, and then you're just sitting around, just twiddling your thumbs, just waiting forever, like, oh my god, when am I gonna get this queue? When am I gonna complete this mission? You're not! Nobody's playing! They don't care about you! However, and going back to my point about Star Wars Tour, that is what's so great about this, is that they understand that. They understand that the whole aspect of MMOs is shifting. And in order, I mean, not only because of that, they also want to do it because they don't have the player base anymore like they used to. A lot of people ended up quitting, and they had to fire, I think it was like the majority of the staff that made this game. This game is so great. The cutscenes, the music, the atmosphere, the environment, everything is just phenomenal. I don't understand why it's failed as much as it has. Except for my point is that just MMOs are dead. People just don't have the time. A lot of the servers I can't remember how many servers there were at launch, and they heavily condensed it down to I'd have to pull it up, but I think 8 servers, 10 servers. They had to condense this game down heavily. And a lot of it has to do, like, back when I started, I went to the PvP server. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna go gank me some repubs all the time. I'm gonna piss people off. But then you get into the queues section. It's like, well, I need this quest in order to go do this. Well, you're sitting there twiddling your thumb. It's like an hour's passed and nobody's available because they don't have to do it because they've already done it. They're a little bit higher level. They're on a different planet. You know, this, that, or the other thing. Queue system sucked. And when you don't have players, you don't have players. And so you're not able to do anything. And then you're not able to advance in the game. And it's just like, oh my god, why am I even fucking playing this? I'm canceling my subscription. And that's what happened. And so they had to reverse course. They had to understand that MMOs, in my opinion, are dying. And so they have to go into a single player route with multiplayer aspects. So why do people still play this? Human beings are social creatures. We want to interact with other players. It gets pretty boring playing Fallout 4. I mean, granted, I have almost 200 hours in Fallout 4. I don't know why I wasted so much goddamn time in that shit game. And yes, it's a shit game. That's a topic for another video. But there's no one to interact with. Maybe I'm bored and I'm waiting for this spawn to happen, or I'm having to travel back to this location. I want to chit chat or something. I mean, that's what's so great about MMOs. Star Wars Tour, single player, multiplayer chat. You can still play the game and chat with people like it's on multiplayer. You want to do a quest, you're feeling a little bit itchy, and you're just like, you know what, I'm going to queue up for this. Now at times, the queues are almost instant. You queue for something, it's like, bam, there you go. In and out. Done deal. Because, I mean, we could all be playing single-player games. I mean, look at this game. Empire at War. Oh, this game is so sweet. Look at the cinematics in this game. It makes you feel like you're there. I can be doing space battles. It does come down to a personal preference on what you want to play and how you want to play and manage your time. But look at this! However, what's not in this game? It's complete single player. There's no multiplayer. I'm not able to chit-chat with other players in this. That's boring. Who wants to do that? Other games are starting to go that route too. They're starting to see that, there needs to be like a little bit of a hybrid. There's no longer just the whole single player aspect. There's got to be some kind of multiplayer function to it, or let's say like sandbox. I believe Far Cry 4's ideal was that they're going to go away from doing just straight up single player games to doing kind of like a sandbox-ish game. Because look at the success of games like Minecraft. Holy shit. You can play that single player if you want. Most people want to do it multiplayer because they want to be with a buddy. They want to build something, It's all about that social interaction. But it's the creativity that you can do with it. What does that have to do with MMOs? Not so much, unless you consider the whole aspect of like your strongholds, your personal houses, stuff of that nature. I really should do a video doing a tour like, come check out Amora's crib on Star Wars Tour. Look at this shit. Y'all flamers don't even know how much money I blew on this. And don't tell my wife. She don't want to know either. She's probably not going to watch this Bleh. Watch this video. But honey, if you do, I love you. Kisses, hug. Go back to bed. Thank you guys for your time. I probably ranted on a little bit too long. I think I've lost track of what I was even talking about. It's now like almost 2 a.m. over here when I'm doing this. Oh my god, what have I done with my life? I think I've lost track. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave it down below. Tell me how I'm doing. Leave a like. Leave a comment. Hell, leave several comments. Let's talk about this. Are MMOs dead? I want to hear from you. Personally, I think they are, in the aspect of what they used to be. Star Wars Tour is kind of the example, kind of the exception to the rule, because it's a single player with MMO aspects. But it's debatable. That's the good thing. So leave a comment down below, and let's get this shit going. Until we meet again, people, a toodaloo.